Show me the second before your hand entered my car. Naomi Carter did not raise her voice. She did not look at the small packet Officer Travis Mercer was holding beneath the flashing red and blue lights. She looked past him, directly at the green light on Officer Ethan Brooks's body camera. Mercer stood beside the open passenger door of her silver sedan, one hand holding the packet and the other resting near his belt. His expression carried the satisfaction of a man who believed the story had already been decided. "You are under arrest for possession of suspected illegal substances," he said. Naomi remained several feet behind the vehicle where Ethan had instructed her to stand. Her dark blue coat was buttoned over a cream blouse, and the evening wind moved lightly through her natural curls. "When did you first see that item?" she asked. Mercer glanced at the packet. "When I searched the vehicle." "At what exact moment?" "I do not need to explain evidence collection to you. Your camera was turned off before you opened the door." Mercer looked down at the dark body camera mounted on his uniform. "Equipment failure." Naomi shifted her attention back to Ethan's active camera. "Then that camera may be the only honest witness here." Ethan said nothing, but his eyes moved toward Mercer's right jacket pocket. Less than 1 minute earlier, he had seen Mercer touch that pocket before stepping between the open door and the camera's direct view. At the time, the movement had seemed ordinary. Now it did not. Mercer held the packet higher. "This was under the passenger seat. Was it visible before your hand entered the vehicle?" Naomi asked. "It was discovered during a lawful search." "I did not consent to a search. I had probable cause." "You said you smelled something unusual. Then you said my nervous behavior justified further investigation. Before that, you stopped me for failing to come to a complete stop." Mercer's jaw tightened. "You are trying to confuse the issue. I am establishing the order in which your reasons appeared." Ethan looked toward the patrol car. The dashboard camera was pointed at the entire scene. It had recorded Naomi stopping at the intersection. It had recorded her pulling over immediately. It had recorded Mercer asking where she worked before explaining why she had been stopped. Most importantly, it had recorded Mercer walking toward the passenger side with one hand pressed against his pocket. Naomi noticed Ethan's expression change. "Officer Brooks," she said, "could you see beneath the passenger seat before Officer Mercer reached inside?" Mercer turned sharply. "Do not answer that." Ethan remained still. "Why not?" Naomi asked. "Because he is assisting with an active investigation. Then his observations should matter." Mercer stepped away from the car and moved closer to her. "You need to stop asking questions. Questions do not alter evidence. They can interfere with an investigation. Only if the investigation depends on no one remembering the sequence." The street fell quiet except for the soft engine noise from the patrol car. A closed pharmacy stood on one side of the road, and a small grocery store remained open across the intersection. Its exterior security camera faced the passenger side of Naomi's sedan. Mercer had not noticed it. Ethan had. Naomi followed his gaze and saw it too. Mercer placed the packet inside a clear evidence pouch and sealed it. "The substance will be tested," he said. "The report will document where it was found." Naomi watched him write the time on the label. "Will the report document that you entered the car before your partner confirmed the location?" "The report will document the facts." "Whose facts?" Mercer gave her a cold smile. "The facts that can be proven." Ethan's body camera continued recording. The dashboard camera continued recording. The store camera continued recording. Mercer believed he was creating evidence. He did not yet understand that every camera around him was preserving the moment before his lie was complete. 22 minutes earlier, Naomi Carter had left the federal courthouse carrying a paper bag with dinner for her mother and a small pharmacy envelope containing a refill she had picked up during lunch. The evening had already stretched beyond schedule. At 7:12, she closed the door to her chambers, placed several sealed documents inside a secure cabinet, and checked that the electronic case file had been locked behind restricted access. The matter she had reviewed that afternoon involved a request to preserve police department records before they could be altered or deleted. Assistant United States Attorney Olivia Grant had presented evidence suggesting that several vehicle searches followed the same disturbing pattern. A black driver was stopped for a minor violation. Consent to search was refused. An officer's body camera stopped recording. A questionable item appeared inside the vehicle. Then the written report described the discovery as obvious and immediate. Naomi had not conducted the investigation. She had reviewed the legal request placed before the court, examined whether the government had shown sufficient grounds, and signed a limited preservation order covering camera logs, dispatch records, report drafts, and certain internal communications. One officer's name appeared repeatedly in the supporting documents, Travis Mercer. Naomi knew the name, badge number, and the sound of his voice from a recorded complaint. She had seen a small personnel photograph attached to an exhibit, but she had never met him face to face. Before leaving, she read one line from a witness statement a second time. The driver claimed Mercer had searched the car after being denied permission, then announced a discovery only after standing where no camera could clearly see his hands. The allegation had not yet been proven, but the repeated structure across multiple complaints was impossible to ignore. Naomi signed the order, noted that another judge would handle any later criminal proceedings, and left the courthouse without discussing the matter outside the sealed record. Her mother lived about 9 miles away in a quiet neighborhood near Oak Ridge Park. Naomi had promised to bring vegetable soup, cornbread, and the medication refill before 8 o'clock. She placed the dinner bag on the rear floorboard, secured the pharmacy envelope inside her handbag, and started the silver sedan. Traffic was light. She drove south through the courthouse district, crossed Jefferson Avenue, and stopped fully at the sign near a closed bank. A patrol car waited half a block behind her. Naomi noticed it, but had no reason to expect trouble. She used her signal, turned right, and continued at 30 miles per hour. Inside the patrol car, Travis Mercer leaned forward when he saw the sedan's license plate. "I know that car," he said. Ethan Brooks looked up from the mobile terminal. "From where?" Mercer watched Naomi continue through the next intersection. "It has been parked near the federal courthouse more than once." Ethan glanced at him. "A lot of cars park near the federal courthouse." Mercer did not respond. He took out his personal phone and sent a short message to Lieutenant Karen Doyle. "Silver sedan from courthouse area. Same plate as last week." Doyle called almost immediately. Mercer answered through one earbud, keeping his voice low. "Yes, Lieutenant." He listened. "No, I do not know who is driving." Another pause. "Understood. I will find a lawful reason to identify her." Ethan heard enough to turn toward him. "What is this about?" "Possible connection to an ongoing matter." "What matter?" "Need to know." Naomi stopped at another sign, waited, and proceeded only after the cross street was clear. Ethan watched the dashboard camera capture the complete stop. She did not violate anything. Mercer activated the emergency lights anyway. "We will see." Naomi pulled over immediately beside a closed pharmacy, turned off the engine, and placed both hands on the steering wheel. Mercer approached the driver's window, already carrying a suspicion he had not earned. He did not recognize the woman behind the wheel. He only recognized the courthouse, the plate, and the possibility that she knew something he wanted to find. Mercer stopped beside the driver's window and shined his flashlight across Naomi's hands before looking at her face. License, registration, and proof of insurance. Naomi handed him the documents without argument. "What is the reason for the stop?" she asked. "You failed to stop at the sign on Jefferson Avenue." Naomi glanced toward the patrol car behind her. "The dashboard camera will show that I stopped completely." Mercer ignored the statement and studied her license. The name meant nothing to him. He had seen Judge Naomi Carter listed on sealed paperwork, but he had never expected the woman connected to that name to be sitting alone in an ordinary sedan with a paper bag of food on the rear floorboard. "Where are you coming from?" he asked. "Downtown." "Where downtown?" "Near the courthouse district." His eyes sharpened. "Do you work there?" Naomi kept her voice even. "How is my employment related to the traffic stop?" Mercer leaned closer to the window. "I am asking the questions." Officer Ethan Brooks approached the passenger's side and looked through the glass without touching the car. He could see a handbag on the front seat, the dinner bag in the rear, and nothing that suggested danger or illegal activity. Mercer returned to the patrol car with Naomi's documents. Ethan followed. She stopped at the sign. Ethan said quietly. The camera recorded it. Mercer entered her information into the terminal. Maybe the stop was incomplete. It was not. Then the plate looked obscured. Ethan looked back at the clean license plate beneath its working light. It is fully visible. Mercer's personal phone vibrated. Lieutenant Karen Doyle had sent a message. Find out whether she has courthouse files, recording devices, or contact information for federal investigators. Mercer read it twice, then deleted the notification from the screen. We need consent to search, he said. Ethan stared at him. For what? Possible connection to an active investigation. You have not explained what investigation. You do not need the details. She has no warrants, the registration is current, and there was no traffic violation. Mercer turned toward him. You are here to assist, not debate. He walked back to Naomi's window and returned her license, but kept the registration in his hand. Step out of the vehicle. Naomi studied him for a moment. Am I being cited for a specific violation? Step out. She complied, closed the door carefully, and stood where he directed near the rear of the sedan. Mercer looked at the courthouse parking sticker attached to the lower corner of the windshield. What exactly do you do? Downtown. I have already asked how that relates to the stop. You seem unusually concerned about a simple question. I am concerned that the reason for this stop keeps changing. His expression hardened. Nobody said it changed. You began with an incomplete stop. Your partner confirmed the camera shows otherwise. Then you mentioned the license plate, which is clearly visible. Now you are asking about my workplace and whether I carry documents. Ethan looked toward Mercer. Naomi had accurately described every shift. Mercer pointed toward the sedan. Do you have anything inside that could be connected to a federal investigation? Naomi felt the conversation become clearer. This was not only about bias or control. He was looking for information. What federal investigation are you referring to? She asked. Mercer realized he had gone too far. I said possible investigation. Then identify the lawful basis for searching my vehicle. I have not asked to search it yet. You asked what documents I carry and whether the contents are connected to federal investigators. Mercer took one step toward the passenger door. Do you consent to a search? No, why not? Because I am not required to surrender a constitutional right in order to prove I have nothing to hide. Mercer looked at Ethan, then back at Naomi. People who cooperate usually leave faster. People who follow the law should not need to purchase their freedom with consent. His phone vibrated again. Doyle was calling. Mercer answered and walked several feet away, but Naomi heard enough. She will not give consent, he said. He listened, then glanced toward the handbag on the passenger seat. Yes, she may work at the courthouse. I will find another basis. When he ended the call, Naomi understood the true shape of the stop. They were not searching for wrongdoing. They were searching for whatever she might know. Mercer ended the call and returned to the passenger side of the sedan with a new expression, one that appeared calmer only because he had made a decision. I detected an unusual odor coming from the vehicle, he said. Ethan looked at him immediately. You did not mention an odor before. Mercer kept his eyes on Naomi. I noticed it when she opened the window. You were standing on the driver's side? Ethan replied. I was on the passenger side. I did not smell anything. Mercer's voice sharpened. Your inability to detect it does not mean it was not present. Naomi stood near the rear bumper with her hands visible, watching him construct another justification. What kind of odor are you claiming to detect? She asked. Something consistent with illegal substances. You have been beside this vehicle for several minutes, and you mentioned it only after I refused consent. Mercer pointed toward Ethan. Keep her here. He reached toward his body camera. Ethan saw his thumb press the control. The indicator light went dark. Why did you stop recording? Ethan asked. Battery problem. The battery showed more than half a charge when we started the shift. Mercer opened the passenger door. Then the device malfunctioned. Naomi's handbag remained on the seat exactly where she had left it. The pharmacy envelope was inside the closed bag, and the dinner for her mother was still on the rear floorboard. I do not consent to this search, she said clearly. Your objection is noted. State the reason you are entering the vehicle. Probable cause based on odor and suspicious behavior. Which behavior? Mercer did not answer. He leaned inside, placing his body between Ethan's camera and the front seat. Ethan moved 2 steps to the side, trying to maintain a clear view without interfering. That was when he saw Mercer's right hand touch the outside of his uniform pocket. The movement was quick, deliberate. Mercer glanced back, noticed Ethan's position, and shifted closer to the open door. Stay with the driver, he ordered. Ethan did not move farther away. I can see her from here. Mercer reached into the car. Naomi could not see his hand, but she could see Ethan's face. His expression changed from uncertainty to alarm. Officer Brooks, she said, please state where Officer Mercer's hands were before he entered my vehicle. Mercer lifted his head. Do not answer questions from a detained subject. I am not asking him to interfere, Naomi said. I am. Asking him to preserve the sequence. Mercer bent down again. Several seconds passed. Then he stepped backward and called Ethan toward the passenger door. Come look at this. Ethan approached slowly. Mercer pointed beneath the front seat, where a small packet now rested near the edge of the floor mat. Ethan stared at it. He had looked through that same window earlier. The area had been visible. The packet had not. Was that there when you first checked the interior? Naomi asked. Mercer reached down and lifted it before Ethan could answer. The item was discovered during a lawful search. That was not my question. Mercer held the packet beneath the patrol lights. You are under arrest for possession of suspected illegal substances. Naomi did not look frightened. She looked at the dark camera on Mercer's chest, then at the green light on Ethan's. Show me the second before your hand entered my car. Mercer gave a short laugh. You do not control the evidence. No, Naomi said. But you do not control every camera. Ethan looked toward the grocery store across the intersection. A security camera faced the sedan. The patrol car dashboard camera faced the sedan. His own body camera had captured Mercer touching his pocket, blocking the open door, and refusing to let him confirm the location before removing the packet. Mercer noticed where they were looking and stepped closer to Ethan. Your camera angle did not show anything useful. It showed enough to establish the order of events, Ethan said. Mercer's expression hardened. Be careful what you think you saw. Naomi listened closely. Officer Brooks, did the packet appear before or after Officer Mercer reached into the vehicle? Mercer turned toward her. Stop questioning my partner. Then answer it yourself. He placed the packet inside a clear evidence pouch and sealed it. The report will explain everything. Naomi watched him write the discovery time on the label. A report cannot change what happened before it was written. Mercer believed the packet had given him the authority to search her belongings, take her phone, and learn what the courthouse knew. He had created the excuse he needed. But Ethan's silence was no longer agreement. It was the silence of a witness deciding whether he would protect an officer or protect the truth. Mercer sealed the evidence pouch and placed it on the hood of the patrol car as though the plastic bag had settled every question. Officer Brooks, secure her belongings and retrieve the phone, he said. Ethan did not move. Her phone is inside a closed handbag. We still do not have consent to search it. Mercer pointed toward the packet. We have probable cause now. The probable cause depends on where that packet came from. Mercer stepped closer to him. Choose your words carefully. Naomi remained beside the rear bumper, watching the two officers without raising her voice. The phone has no connection to the item you claim to have found, she said. You asked about courthouse records before you entered my vehicle. Now you are using this packet to reach the same information. Mercer turned toward her. You are being detained for possession. Your theory about my questions does not matter. The order of events matters. His personal phone vibrated. He walked several feet away and answered Lieutenant Karen Doyle's call. Ethan's body camera captured his side of the conversation. Yes, I found something, Mercer said. A small packet under the passenger seat. He listened, then looked toward Naomi's handbag. She may have a courthouse identification card and possibly documents. I will take the phone and everything in the bag. Doyle spoke long enough for his expression to change. Understood. I will hold any federal credential until you arrive. Naomi heard the last sentence clearly. Mercer ended the call and returned to the sedan. Officer Brooks, remove the handbag. Ethan looked at Naomi. Ma'am, is there identification inside? There is a credential case in the inner pocket, she said. I authorize you to retrieve only that case. I do not consent to any broader search. Ethan repeated the limitation for the recording, opened the passenger door, and lifted the credential case from the handbag without disturbing the pharmacy envelope or other contents. He handed it to Mercer. The gold seal on the front reflected the patrol lights. Mercer opened it, saw Naomi's photograph, and read the words United States Judiciary. His eyes paused on the title beneath her name. For 1 second, the confidence left his face. Then he forced a laugh. Anyone can print something like this. Ethan leaned closer. There is a federal verification number inside. We are not calling it. Why not? Because false credentials are part of the investigation now. Naomi looked directly at Mercer. Call the number. It will confirm my identity in less than a minute. You do not give instructions at my scene. Verification would protect you if you truly believe the credential was false. Mercer closed the case, or it would alert whoever made it. Ethan stared at him. That does not make sense. Mercer placed the credential beside the evidence pouch. Lieutenant Doyle is coming. She will decide. Naomi understood why he refused. Verification would bring federal judicial security into the stop before he could access her phone or learn what the courthouse knew. She felt the discreet control beneath the edge of her watch. One deliberate press would transmit her location and identity to the Judicial Security Center. Mercer turned back toward the sedan. I am searching the bag. You have already been given access to the specific item you requested, Naomi said. You do not have permission to examine the remaining contents. Permission is no longer required. Ethan stepped between the open door and the handbag without touching Mercer. We need an independent supervisor before anything else is moved. Mercer's expression hardened. Lieutenant Doyle is the supervisor. She is also the person who told you to identify this driver before the stop. The words landed quietly, but they changed the scene. Mercer looked at Ethan's blinking camera and realized the earlier telephone call had also been recorded. Turn that camera off, he said. No, that is a direct order. The recording is evidence. Naomi pressed the hidden control beneath her watch. A soft vibration confirmed the signal had been transmitted. She kept her face composed while Mercer reached again for his phone. Doyle, he said when she answered, we have a bigger problem. Brooks will not stop recording, and the woman has a federal judiciary credential. He listened, then glanced toward the dark street. Yes, I will keep her here and hold the credential. Ethan looked at Naomi. She gave no sign of what she had done. Less than 2 miles away, a judicial security vehicle received her authenticated alert and changed direction. Lieutenant Karen Doyle arrived before Mercer could make another move toward Naomi's handbag. Her unmarked department vehicle stopped behind the patrol car, and she stepped onto the street with the controlled urgency of someone who had already decided what the official version would be. Her eyes went first to Mercer, then to Ethan's active camera, then to the federal judiciary credential resting beside the sealed evidence pouch. Explain, she said. Mercer lowered his voice. She refused consent. I detected an unusual odor, and I found the packet under the passenger seat. Brooks is interfering, and the woman has what appears to be a false federal credential. Doyle picked up the case without asking permission. She opened it, examined Naomi's photograph and title, and looked toward the verification number printed inside. Did anyone call this number? Ethan asked. Not yet, Mercer said. Good, Doyle replied. Naomi watched her carefully. A legitimate verification number is printed inside the case. Calling it would resolve the question immediately. Doyle closed the credential. A telephone number proves nothing. The secure office answering that number will. Doyle turned toward Ethan. Turn off your camera during the supervisory review. Department policy requires continuous recording during a detention and evidence recovery. I am giving you a direct supervisory order. The recording now includes a disputed search, a federal credential, and instructions involving evidence. I am not disabling it. Doyle's expression hardened. You are placing your career at risk. Ethan glanced at the evidence pouch. My career is not more important than an accurate record. Mercer stepped beside Doyle. He has been challenging every decision since the stop began. Because the reasons keep changing. Naomi said. Doyle faced her. You are not part of this conversation. I am the person whose vehicle was entered, whose credential you are holding, and whose belongings you intend to search. You are detained in connection with suspected illegal substances. Then preserve the scene and request an independent supervisor. Do not search for courthouse information unrelated to the packet. Doyle's eyes narrowed. Who told you we were interested in courthouse information? Naomi did not answer immediately. The silence exposed the mistake. Mercer looked at Doyle, and Ethan looked from one to the other. Officer Mercer asked where she worked before explaining the traffic stop, Ethan said. He also received instructions to identify whether she had federal records or contact information. Doyle moved closer to him. You misunderstood an operational inquiry. Your call was recorded. For the first time, Doyle looked directly at the green light on Ethan's camera. She reached for her own phone and typed a message quickly. Naomi could not see the screen, but Ethan heard Mercer's phone vibrate almost at once. Mercer checked it, then slipped it into his pocket without replying. The handbag is now evidence, Doyle said. We are taking the phone, identification, and any documents inside. Naomi's voice remained calm. You have not identified any lawful connection between those items and the packet. That determination belongs to us. No, that determination belongs to facts you can explain and defend. Doyle pointed toward the sedan. Mercer, complete the search. Ethan stepped slightly toward the open passenger door, maintaining distance without blocking anyone physically. Before anything else is moved, I am requesting a separate watch commander and evidence technician. Doyle stared at him. Denied. Then my request and your denial are recorded. Mercer looked down the street as headlights appeared at the far intersection. A dark government vehicle turned toward them without sirens. Doyle followed his gaze. Who called another agency? She demanded. Naomi said nothing. The security alert had already transmitted her name, location, and protected status. Doyle picked up the credential again and held it tightly. If this is real, we will handle it internally. Naomi looked at the unopened handbag, the sealed packet, and the camera still recording every word. That is exactly what you should no longer be allowed to do. The government vehicle stopped several yards away. Its driver's door opened, and a man in a dark suit stepped out with a federal identification case visible in his hand. He surveyed the open car door, the disputed evidence, Ethan's active camera, and Naomi standing beneath the streetlight. Then he began walking toward them. The man in the dark suit stopped several feet from the patrol car and opened his federal identification case. Deputy United States Marshal Marcus Hale, Judicial Security Division, he said. His voice was calm, but every person on the street understood that the scene had changed. Doyle lifted Naomi's credential slightly. We are conducting a lawful investigation involving suspected illegal substances and possible false identification. Marcus looked at the credential in her hand. That document belongs to the United States judiciary. Give it to me so I can verify it. Doyle hesitated. It is being held as evidence. Evidence of what specific offense? She did not answer. Ethan's body camera continued recording. Mercer looked toward the sealed packet on the hood of the patrol car, then toward the open passenger door of Naomi's sedan. Marcus followed his gaze and took in the entire arrangement. Who entered the vehicle? He asked. I did, Mercer said. Based on probable cause. What created probable cause? An unusual odor and suspicious behavior. Ethan spoke carefully. The odor was first mentioned after she refused consent, and I did not detect it from the passenger side. Doyle turned toward him. You have already been instructed to stop interfering. Marcus looked at the green light on Ethan's camera. Do not stop recording. Doyle's expression hardened. You do not command my officer. I am not directing his employment. I am advising everyone present that an authenticated judicial security alert has been received and that potential evidence must be preserved. He extended his hand toward the credential. After several seconds, Doyle placed it in his palm. Marcus checked the photograph, seal, identification number, and security features, then used a secure device to contact the Judicial Security Center. The response came almost immediately. He looked toward Naomi with a formality that Mercer and Doyle had not shown her once. Judge Carter, are you safe? The words seemed to remove the sound from the street. Mercer stared at Naomi as though her face had changed, although nothing about her expression had. Doyle looked down at the credential, then at Mercer. Judge? Mercer asked. Naomi met his eyes. Federal District Judge. He took one step back. You never said who you were. You did not need to know who I was to know that planting evidence was wrong. Mercer's face tightened. I did not plant anything. Then the recordings should protect you, Naomi said. Your partner's camera captured the sequence. The dashboard camera captured the stop. The grocery store camera captured the passenger side. Preserve all three. Doyle tried to recover control. This woman is attempting to influence an investigation by using her position. Naomi turned toward Marcus. I am not directing any investigation. I am identifying evidence that already exists. Marcus nodded. That distinction is clear. Mercer looked at Naomi more carefully now, and recognition began to form. Carter, he said quietly, you are connected to the sealed federal case. Naomi answered without revealing protected details. Earlier today, I reviewed a lawful request involving preservation of police records. Your name appeared in materials submitted to the court. Mercer glanced toward Doyle. The panic between them was immediate and silent. You were investigating me, he said. No, Naomi replied. A judge does not investigate officers. I was overseeing the court process connected to an investigation conducted by others. Now I am a witness, and another judge will handle anything that follows. Doyle took out her phone. We need department counsel before anyone says more. At that moment, Marcus's secure phone rang. He answered, listened, and placed the call on speaker only after confirming Naomi's consent. Assistant United States Attorney Olivia Grant introduced herself. A federal preservation order covering relevant camera logs, report drafts, dispatch records, and certain internal communications was entered earlier today, she said. Mercer's eyes moved toward his personal phone. Olivia continued. No one at the scene should delete messages, alter timestamps, revise reports, or remove recording devices. Any such action may become independently relevant. Doyle's hand froze above her screen. Ethan looked at the message notification still visible on Mercer's phone. Naomi noticed the same thing. Mercer had believed the packet would give him access to her belongings and information. Instead, it had connected the traffic stop directly to the sealed matter he feared. Marcus looked toward Ethan. Officer Brooks, can you state whether your camera has recorded continuously? Yes. Did you observe anything relevant before the packet appeared? Ethan looked at Mercer, then at Naomi, then at the green light that had preserved every moment he once considered staying silent about. Yes, he said. I saw Officer Mercer touch his uniform pocket before entering the vehicle, and the packet was not visible when I first looked through the passenger window. Mercer closed his eyes for one brief second. The lie had not collapsed because Naomi was powerful. It had collapsed because one witness finally described what the camera had already seen. Doyle moved several steps away from the others and raised her phone as though privacy could still be created on a street surrounded by cameras. She called Mercer even though he was standing less than 20 feet away. His personal phone vibrated, and he answered after looking toward Ethan's active body camera. Walk toward the rear of the patrol car, Doyle said. Keep your voice down. Mercer obeyed. Ethan remained where he was, but the microphone on his uniform continued capturing the conversation. Doyle spoke quickly. Delete the messages about the courthouse vehicle. Reset the time on your camera log before the system uploads. Your report needs to say the driver gave implied consent when she stepped away from the car. State that the packet was visible from outside and that Brooks confirmed it. Ethan's expression changed. I did not confirm that, he said clearly. Doyle turned toward him, realizing too late how well the microphone carried. This is a privileged supervisory discussion. You are telling him to write something that did not happen. Mercer lowered his phone. Stay out of it. Ethan looked directly at the green recording light on his chest. For the record, Judge Carter did not consent to a search. She refused several times. The packet was not visible when I first looked through the passenger window. Officer Mercer touched his uniform pocket before entering the vehicle, and his body camera was turned off immediately before the search. Each sentence locked another fact into place. Marcus Hale contacted the local watch commander and requested an independent evidence team. He also advised everyone that the federal preservation order applied to communications, draft reports, camera metadata, dispatch logs, and device activity connected to the stop. Doyle looked toward her phone as if she could calculate how much had already been saved. Olivia Grant remained on the secure line. The department system began preserving relevant records when the order was served this afternoon, she said. Deleted messages, altered timestamps, and revised drafts may still be recoverable. Mercer looked at Doyle. The confidence that had guided every decision was gone. You said the system would not retain personal messages. I said we would handle it, Doyle replied. You were supposed to identify the driver, not create a scene with a federal judge. Naomi listened without interrupting. The accusation confirmed what she had already understood. The stop had begun as an attempt to discover what the courthouse knew. The planted packet had been the second plan, created only after she refused access to her car and phone. Marcus asked Ethan to describe the condition of the sedan when he first approached. Ethan stated that the passenger floor area had been visible through the window, that no packet had been present near the seat, and that Mercer had deliberately blocked the camera angle before announcing the discovery. The grocery store manager across the intersection came outside after seeing the federal vehicles and confirmed that the exterior security system had recorded continuously. He agreed to preserve the footage until investigators arrived. The dashboard camera showed Naomi making a complete stop before Mercer activated the emergency lights. Dispatch records showed no stolen vehicle alert, no matching suspect description, and no legitimate investigative notice connected to her plate. The sealed evidence pouch remained untouched on the patrol car hood, while an independent technician photographed its position and recorded who had handled it. Naomi's handbag stayed inside the sedan. Her phone, the pharmacy envelope, and the dinner for her mother had never been removed. Mercer looked toward the car and seemed to realize how little control he had left. "The report can still explain the odor," he said. Ethan answered quietly. "You did not mention an odor until after she refused the search." Doyle tried to interrupt, but Ethan continued. "The first reason was a traffic violation that the dashboard camera disproves. Then the plate. Then courthouse information. Then the odor. The reasons changed whenever the previous one failed." Olivia asked that Ethan's camera be uploaded under independent supervision before he returned to the station. Marcus arranged for another officer to transport the recording device securely. Naomi formally stated that she would not participate in any future judicial decision connected to the case because she was now a witness. Another judge would review every request that followed. No one declared Mercer or Doyle guilty on the street. The evidence would move through the proper process. But before the night ended, preservation notices reached the department. The grocery store footage was secured, the draft report system was locked, and the old complaints connected to Mercer were flagged for independent review. He had believed one small packet could open Naomi's car, her phone, and the secrets of the courthouse. Instead, it opened every record he and Doyle had spent years trying to keep closed. 18 months later, Naomi Carter stood inside a neighborhood legal resource center 3 blocks from Oak Ridge Park, the same area where her mother still lived and where Naomi had been trying to deliver dinner on the night of the stop. The room was modest, with folding chairs, framed photographs of local families, and a long table covered with pamphlets about civil rights, complaint procedures, and access to legal assistance. Naomi wore a dark blue coat over a cream blouse, similar to what she had worn that evening. But now her expression carried the quiet steadiness of someone who had seen a false story lose its power piece by piece. Darius Coleman sat in the front row holding a corrected copy of his official record. The charge connected to his earlier traffic stop had been dismissed after independent reviewers found that the evidence against him could not be trusted. His former employer had offered him his position back, but Darius had chosen a new job with a transportation company that treated him with dignity. Several other drivers whose cases involved Mercer had also received new hearings, corrected records, or formal notices that their complaints were being reviewed again. No one called the process perfect. Some damage could not be measured by paperwork alone. Lost wages, damaged reputations, missed family moments, and months of fear did not disappear because a file was amended. Still, the system had finally begun listening to people it once treated as inconvenient. Ethan Brooks stood near the side wall in uniform, speaking with a group of new officers before the event began. He had remained in the department after cooperating fully with investigators. Although the decision had cost him friendships, assignments, and the easy approval of people who believed loyalty meant silence. He now helped teach evidence preservation, lawful intervention, and the responsibility to speak when another officer crossed a clear line. The department had changed as well. Body camera recordings uploaded automatically to an independent server. Officers could not disable cameras during traffic stops without a documented safety reason. Searches involving disputed consent required a second officer to state the basis on camera. Draft reports were preserved. Personal device communications connected to official activity could be secured under lawful process, and supervisors could not review complaints involving conduct they had personally directed. Mercer and Doyle no longer held positions of authority. Their cases had moved through separate administrative and legal proceedings handled by officials with no connection to Naomi. She had kept her distance from every decision after becoming a witness. She did not approve warrants, review motions, or speak privately with prosecutors about outcomes. Her testimony remained limited to what she had seen, heard, and documented. When reporters asked whether she believed her title had saved her, Naomi answered carefully. "My title brought help faster," she said. "It should never have been necessary to make the truth matter." Before the public discussion started, Darius approached her with the corrected record in his hand. "They finally admitted the report was wrong," he said. Naomi looked at the page, then at him. "They corrected the record because evidence survived long enough to challenge it." Darius glanced toward Ethan. And because someone finally spoke. Ethan joined them, but did not ask to be praised. I should have spoken earlier, he said. Darius studied him for a moment. Then make sure the next person does not have to wait. When Naomi stepped to the front of the room, the conversations faded. She looked across the audience at residents, officers, students, court employees, and families who had learned how easily authority could become dangerous when no one questioned the story being written. Justice does not begin when an important person is harmed, she said. It begins when the system listens to everyone it once ignored. A badge does not turn an accusation into truth. A report does not erase what a camera saw. And silence does not become loyalty simply because it protects someone powerful. Outside, evening traffic passed beneath warm streetlights. Her silver sedan was parked near the entrance, untouched and ordinary. The dinner she had carried that night was long gone, but the reason she had been stopped had finally been exposed. Mercer had believed one planted object could bury her truth. He forgot that truth leaves a record of its own, and once that record survives, even the smallest lie can pull an entire system into the light.